Lights come on as we walked into the roofing, thatching. Ah. Okay, here we are.
So my name is Dara. I'm going to be your guide for maybe the next 50 minutes as we tour the site.
50. Could do it in 15.
This structure here doesn't look like much. This is the oldest part of the site. So this is the original O'Rourke's Tower. You can see from the width of the walls that this was a significant structure. It was like 5 stories in height, so much higher than the manor house that's here behind us. This was owned by the O'Rourke family. So the O'Rourke family are the most powerful family in this area. The man who lived here was a guy called Sir Brian O'Rourke, and he was the Lord of Breffni. So back then, Ireland wasn't split up into small counties like it is now. It was in large districts. This one here was called Breffni. It included County Leitrim and parts of County Cavan. So a very wealthy family. Now, we go into the reason why the castle doesn't exist anymore, why it's not here. In 1588, we have the Spanish Armada. Okay, so a group of Spanish sailors, they went and tried to attack England, they failed, and they were on their way back. Now, they couldn't go the normal way through the channel. They had to go back by the west coast of Ireland. They didn't know the west coast of Ireland. It's very, very treacherous. 3 of their boats got caught in a very bad storm in Streeja. So Streeja Beach is in Grange in North
That's what we saw, yeah.
They were shipwrecked up there. Now, we know from records that 1,000 soldiers and some of the sailors would have drowned. A lot of them were killed when they came on shore as well. Less than 100 of them survived. And along with a captain, a man called de Queller, they were told to come here. So come to O'Rourke's castle. He was going to give them shelter and food and hopefully get them safely back to Spain. The reason why they were told to come here was they were Catholic and he was Catholic, but also they shared the same enemy. Okay? So they thought he will be sympathetic to their plight. So they came here. Very, very difficult journey from Grange. They walked to here. On the way here, they were stripped and beaten numerous times. Their clothes were taken from them. Their shoes were taken from them. Anything they managed to salvage from the boat was taken off them. A lot of the time it was taken by the Irish people, okay? It was because their skin, dark colored skin, they talked a different language. It was a very, very savage time to be around. Now they made it here. De Queller, the captain who was here with them, he did get safely back to Spain. When he got back to Spain, he wrote a letter to a friend about his time here. Now he calls O'Rourke a savage. He says they were all savages here. But he means it in a polite way because this man here, he knew without him he wouldn't have survived. There's no way he would have got back to Spain. Now, unfortunately for O'Rourke, Queen Elizabeth read that letter, okay? So she managed to find out that he had harboured Spaniards here. For him, that was bad news because now he was going to be declared a traitor. So O'Rourke had to go on the run. So he left this castle. Now we know the family, before they left this castle, they partially demolished it, okay? So they knocked down one of the walls and they took off some of the floors. They knew what was coming behind them. They wanted to make it less useful for whoever was coming behind them. O'Rourke himself, he went on the run. He went to North Scotland, or to North Donegal, then he went on to Scotland. Now he was captured in Scotland and brought to Tyburn in London. He was executed in 1591. So he was hung, drawn and quartered.
Ooh.
So yeah, I can tell you've seen Braveheart by that reaction. How unpleasant that was. So what they were doing is they'd make an example of these Irish chieftains. Okay, so a very, very sad end for O'Rourke.
In that order?
Yes. Yeah.
No.
You're already hung.
You did?
So you're hung, but not to the point of death.
Oh.
I won't go into any more details.
Oh my
You're supposed
God.
to be on holiday. You're supposed
She
to be
had
on
another
holiday
order.
enjoying yourself. I won't go into any
That was the
more.
one that you almost hit.
For O'Rourke, all his land, all his castles, everything was taken from him. Everything was confiscated. Okay? Now we know this castle here was granted to an Englishman. In 1628, a captain called Robert Park, he came from Kent in England. He was granted this castle and about 1,000 acres of land. Now, like I said, this had already been badly damaged by the O'Rourkes before they left. If you can imagine what this looked like when he came here, so you've got a tumble down old Irish fortified house. Park would have no interest in living somewhere like this, okay? So what he did was, he took the stone from this old castle and he built this. So he built this manor house. These buildings, even though they're very, very thick walls and very tall, look at the internal dimensions of the room. They're actually quite small. And it got smaller the higher up you went. They had very, very narrow windows. They were very dark places. They were just built for defense. The only way into this back in those days was a battering ram, okay? So they were built for defense, not for comfort. This, on the other hand, look at the size of the windows, okay? As we go through the house, you'll see the luxury that they would have lived in. Much